Hello, fellow dorks, and welcome back to Alone in the Dork. Today we're doing a mostly spoiler-free 5-minute dork dive, this time into Sailors on the Starless Sea by Harley Stroh. This is one of the most iconic zero-level character funnel adventures ever written. But is it a hit, or is it a miss? Well, let's put on our snorkel and dive in. Now, Sailors on the Starless Sea is a zero-level funnel made specifically for Dungeon Crawl Classics, but it can easily fit into any system, especially a D20 system. And if you don't know what a funnel is, you can check out the dork dive linked above or in the description of this video. Now, the setup is simple. Fed up with the random kidnappings of their villagers, a mob, the players, head to a ruined keep to put an end to the beastmen corrupted by chaos who roam the area. But have they bitten off more than they can chew? Yes. Yes, they have. Now, as with most funnels, you begin right at the start of the action, and you have to push forward because, well, honestly, there's nowhere else to go. And the adventure escalates beautifully. You start on the outskirts of the muddy ruins and end in the titular Starless Sea. And the game starts with a bit of sandbox exploration of the ruins, which hosts a massive pit with swirling phantoms, a temple sealed from the outside with the word repent painted in red upon the door, and the simple well in the middle of the courtyard. I dare you to look in it. From there, the adventure turns into a bit of a dungeon delve on the edge of and in the Starless Sea, where things get even more creepy and more deadly. And the tone walks a fine line that carries throughout. It is grim, but it's not grim dark. It's weird, but it's not goofy, and it's brutal, but fair? The adventure excels at teaching play through design. Danger is mostly telegraphed, and survival depends on observation and smart choices rather than just lucky rolls. The beastmen are grotesque and varied, thanks to the fun chart that randomizes the different mutations. But they are only one of the many threats. Another fun aspect are the multiple entrances into the keep itself, where caution can be rewarded. And there are also more rewards for players who like to do a little investigating as well. So the game has its fair share of rewarding risk, but also of punishing greed. And the beginning of the adventure is just as deadly as the latter half, but it is completely manageable to make it to the final encounter, even if the dice aren't in the player's favor. I also want to say that the game wisely has a bit of a reset point right in the middle where players can add more peasants to their probably dwindling mob. Presentation-wise, Sailors on the Starless Sea nails its tone, from their kind of ridiculous cover art to the stark 80s black and white drawings. The maps are clean and designed to be played for either theater of the mind or grid-based combat, with each area and each room feeling distinct and kind of unsettling. Now, the full adventure takes about 4 hours to run, but it's easy to cut out rooms and encounters on the fly. And for better or worse, once inside the dungeon proper, the game becomes a bit more of a gauntlet and it gets on rails more than it was a sandbox in the beginning, which some players may not like. But if you're short on time or have a party of new players, this aspect helps provide direction. And there are also some leaps of logic that players will have to make in regards to what items are actually useful to them and how they can actually be of use. There are also a handful of side areas which my players have rarely found, and they can be easily removed for time if needed. Now, with the book coming in at under 20 pages, that is a lot of information crammed into each page. It's also worth noting that the module does need at least one good read-through and requires a bit of prep from the GM, just due to the layout and the structure, which doesn't really lean into running it on the fly. Now, either through the exploration of the ruins or the journey through the dungeon below, the game is unique through and through. And just like there are multiple ways to infiltrate the fortress, there are a myriad of ways to tackle the final encounter, if you can even get to it, as the Starless Sea is not a place for the meek or the unlucky, and success is by no means guaranteed once you cross it, which could annoy some players who are more used to always succeeding and being heroes instead of the zeros. Now, all of this said, is it a hit or is it a miss? Well, obviously it is a hit. In fact, for the first time in my channel's history, I'm going to give this a critical hit, because I have run this game at least 5 times, and this has been for veteran and new players alike, online and at a table, and I've even turned it into a 3rd level 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons encounter, and every single time it was a massive success. Because this game has earned its reputation, and it's not just because it is the pinnacle lesson in funnel design, it's just a great dungeon. It teaches players how to think tactically, value their resources, and understand that heroes aren't just born from destiny and great stats, but by a little bit of luck and surviving some pretty weird things. So this has been Sailors on the Starless Sea by Harley Stroh, receiving a critical hit, and I'm Avery with Alone in the Dork, and until next time, stay dorky, my friends.